Okay, so before we get too far into the video, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is I have a 5-rack P.O Box vertical smoker here. I'm going to be cooking my my pulled pork today in a pecan blend. This is pecan and oak. I already have some in here, but this is going to take a little while to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and put in this 20-pound bag as well. Get this preheated. I'll go over all those details momentarily, but I just wanted to let you guys know that that is the blend that I will be using today. This piece of pork that I have is a bone-in pork. I think this is considered a pork shoulder or pork bud. Either way, child, it has a bone in it. But I just wanted to point out the fact that it has a very, very thick fat cap on both the front and the back. I'm going to remove a fair amount of this because I do not need all of this fat on here. It's just not necessary. I'm not going to remove all of it, but I am going to remove a fair amount of it with a really sharp paring knife. So let me do that, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. So I just wanted to give you guys a little update. So this little paring knife right here is the knife that I'm using, and I'm literally just going right up against the fat, and I'm just gently cutting it back. So I'm going to do that to this entire thing. Just take your time with it. You don't want to lose any of the meat. As you can see, I'm taking my time, and with a sharp knife, I can get some nice clean slits all the way across. See that? That's graphic, I understand. But this right here, we don't need that. We can discard this, or you can freeze it. You can turn it into chicharron if you want. You know, there's a lot of things you can do with it, but I'll be discarding it today. Okay, so now that I've gotten this tidied up to my liking, this is how I like it, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna lightly cover it up with just a little bit of yellow mustard. Do not go crazy, just a very thin layer. Be sure to get in all of the crevices, because once we do put the seasoning on, we're no longer going to be rubbing it. We're just going to be lightly sprinkling it across the top. So just make sure that you get all of the surfaces covered, top and bottom. And before I add on the mustard on the underside, I just wanted to show you guys, remember that entire, this entire back piece was covered with a thick cap of fat, and we don't want all of that. And as you can see, I left some on, which is totally fine. You actually want to leave some fat on. You don't want to take all the way the fat, because that's what's going to make it nice and juicy. But that thick cap is just unnecessary. So I just wanted to show you guys that before I cover it up. One of my absolutely favorite companies is called Tacticalories. I love their seasonings. And today I'm going to try out the Arendax Smokes, which is a hickory smoked barbecue seasoning. And that's going to be the only seasoning that I'm going to put on this pulled pork. And just remember, like I said, at this stage, we're no longer rubbing it. We're just going to do a nice heavy coating right across the top. Don't rub it in. Just make sure that it is evenly covering the top. We're just going to simply pat it in, but no longer rubbing. And you can be heavy-handed with it, because remember, this is pork, people. This is pork. Okay? And just simply pat it down. This is the bottom side. And we're going to make sure that we're covering all sides. And don't worry, I always take Lysol rags, Lysol wipes to my seasoning bottles if I've touched raw meat. So don't go concerning your damn self with that, chat, because I know how some of y'all are. Okay, coat that up. And coat this side. And for those of you that are concerned, no, this is not going to taste like mustard at all. Okay, our bird, well, not our bird, our pork is beautifully covered in seasoning. I'm now going to put this on a wire rack, which I have right here. And I'm going to allow this to sit on here just like this, because this is exactly how this is going to go in the smoker. So I want to get it nice and situated now. And just make sure once again that I have everything nicely coated. Okay, I'm going to now sit this inside of the refrigerator while my smoker is preheating, and I'll talk to you guys about that once we get outside. Alrighty, you guys, so I'm in the process now of preheating my smoker. Now, because I just finished doing some cleaning in it and I just used some degreaser, I'm gonna let it stay open just for a little bit, just to kind of burn off any type of chemicals in there. But I'm gonna have it preheated at 225 degrees. We're gonna cook this nice, low, and slow. So I'm gonna leave it open for a few minutes and then I'll go on ahead and close it up. I have a probe already connected to the machine itself so that it'll be able to let me know when it's at temp, but I'm also gonna have a meat thermometer on standby so that I can make sure that the temperature is staying where it needs to be because it is extremely hot outside today. So you guys, I decided that I wanted to go across just the top of my pork here with a dusting of the notorious PIG rub. I also wanted to give this a try. I feel like these flavor profiles with both this and the Tacticalorie seasoning that I have over the top of it is going to be a great balance because this is more sugar forward, so it's going to give that nice sweet and savory balance. So I'm just going to do a light dusting of this right across the top. Alrighty, you guys, the smoker is currently reading at 225, so I'm going to go on ahead and pop this bad boy in there. This is going to cook low and slow. I'll let you guys know exactly how long it's going to take. It's definitely going to take hours and hours. And about every hour, 2 hours, I'll come out and check out on it, but I'll keep you guys up to date. For now, let's just go on ahead and let's pop it in there. And just really quick, as you guys can see, I've placed it on the rack on top of another rack so that it'll be easier for me to get this bad boy out later on. I have a giant pan underneath of it to catch all of its drippings, and we're gonna make sure that the bottom chamber is filled up with water throughout the entire time. So let's go on ahead and close this bad boy up, and let's let it do what it gotta do. I'll see y'all in about 9 hours, child. Alrighty, y'all, so we're coming up on the 4-hour mark here. So I'm gonna go in now and give our pork a little bit of a spritz down. In my bottle that I have here, I put 3/4 of a cup of apple juice in a measuring cup. And then to bring it up to 1 full cup of liquid, I added in pineapple juice. So that's what I have in here. And I'm gonna go in now and let's give this a spritz. Like I said, it's coming up on the 4-hour mark. We've been holding steady at about 225. So that's looking good. It's probably gonna take about 8 hours total. We're gonna wait for the inside temperature to get to 160. Once it gets to 160, that's when we can go on ahead and wrap this bad boy up, put the butter, put the brown sugar, and then we'll put it back in there. But we need to wait until it gets to at least 160 first. But for now, let's go in and let's give it a spritz. It is looking absolutely incredible, though, I'll tell you that much. We're starting to get a really beautiful bark on it. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's cooking beautifully. The seasoning on it looks heavenly. And I'm not gonna put too much of this on it, just enough to make sure that we're locking in a little bit of moisture. Because again, this is a long cooking time. So that's just about right. So now I'm gonna go on ahead, push this back in and close it back on up. All right, you guys, so we are now within the 8-hour mark. As you can see, the sun is going down. So I wanted to give you guys one last final look at it before it gets dark out here, and you guys won't see any more of this until I take it in the house to wrap it up. So let's open it up and let's check and see what the temperature's at the 8-hour mark. Alrighty, so let's go on in and let's check and see what the temp is. We're reading at about 145, so that's actually not that bad. So what's going to essentially end up happening is this probably is going to take about another 2 hours before it hits 160. And then I'll be able to take it in the house and wrap it up. So I'm thinking probably around the 10 and a half hour mark is when it's going to hit 160. And I'll tell you guys all of that once I take it back inside. But I wanted you guys to at least have one final look at it while it's still outside, you know, while there's still some sunlight. Alrighty, so now that my pork has finally got to the temp that I want, it's technically fully cooked, yes, but in order for it to be pulled pork, we still got a long ways to go before it becomes nice and fork tender. So on my counter here, I have lined 2 heavy-duty sheets of aluminum foil. I've gone down with some salted butter, light brown sugar, and honey. There's no particular measurements when it comes to that. You can do as much or as little as you would like. It just gives it great, great flavor, the sweet and salty. I'm going to put it face side down, wrap it up nice and tight. In the pan that I had in the smoker that was catching all of the drippings, I'm going to place this entire pork back inside of that pan and also add in about a half a cup of apple juice and then place this back in the smoker for the last 4 to 5 hours until it is nice and fork tender and the bone is falling apart. Baby, look at how the damn bone done just fell out. Chaba. This bastard cooked for about 14 hours altogether. I'm going to let it cool down for about maybe 15, 20 minutes. Then I'm going to shred this up. And that's how I make my pulled pork, honey. My God. My God. My God. Just look at it. Thank y'all so much for watching, and don't forget, make sure y'all are saving that date in y'all's phone and y'all calendar and y'all reminders. September the 10th, Cultural Mosaic, a food tour around the globe. My cookbook begins pre-sale, and I would love for you guys to support me and get your hands on a copy of my very first cookbook.